Hey guys, welcome to my channel Unscripted, and this is our first episode of Wild Thoughts. So I hope you guys are doing fine. I hope everything is okay. For me, I'm fine. I'm fine, except of course, there's a lot going on in the country here in Uganda. We have literally a massacre in Masaka. Let me explain. So there's a group of machete-wielding young men and who actually have deliberately taken it upon themselves to kill people in Masaka. So what these guys do is Masaka is a district in Kampala. I mean a district in Uganda. And these people have actually taken it upon themselves to kill mostly elderly people. And from the time they started, have so far killed 30 people. And when they kill, they actually leave notes. And there is a very humiliating incident that took place. They killed a certain young lady's mother. After killing her, they actually called her and told her, what, she was abroad in Sweden. They called her and told her, what, we've killed your mother. You should come and organize and arrange her burial ceremony. That is very, very sad. Moment of silence for those people. Yeah, may their souls rest in peace, and we pray that their families get the strength to move on with life. The security agencies are doing what they can. The police say it's actually devised a means called Mayumba Kumi, whereby they've managed to register, capture records of the people or people that occupy this particular area, so that they have tabs on who lives and who doesn't live in these villages. But also another challenge is that these goons are very courageous, in the sense that they even went on to attack police, disarm them, and made away with the guns, man. This is hilarious, man. So we don't know whether we should have confidence in the police or not, but that's a story for another day, or we just hope for the best. And yeah, we hope this can bring some peace in this massacre region. And this is the second phase of this thing is happening. I think the last time it happened was 2019. It happened, and now this is the second phase. We don't know the motive, but apparently it is politically engineered. I don't know how, but that's a story for the gods. So why are we here? I'm going to wild out on some things that I've observed. I'm going to talk to teachers this time around. Teachers, let's talk. If you're a teacher, come to a round table. If you're a student still, you can come to a round table and let's talk and let's converse and let's have ideas about this. Well, I want to believe that the reason as to why I'm able to speak this kind of English, or even express myself, or better still, even speak my own language and express myself in my own language, is because I managed to go to school, and this couldn't have been possible if I didn't have a teacher to teach me how to express myself, how to write, how to be a better person, basically, academically, emotionally, and mentally. Basically, we give you credit for doing that, because you've nurtured some of us to be the people we are today, despite the fact some people may not have achieved their dreams. They went to school for, because the education system is too rickety out here. You study engineering, you end up being a cleaner in someone's company. You study business administration, you end up becoming a church usher, or you end up becoming a pastor. Story of Uganda, the Ugandan education system. It is what it is. We take it the way it is. We've made peace with it. So that's it. There is the other side that has been bothering me about how our teachers, our lovely teachers, are, doing their job. So I was just browsing through the internet, just minding my own business, Then I saw a story of a viral photo of 3 pupils in Kenya that were tied to a tree. This was like, I think, a form of punishment. These kids are tied to a tree, like I don't know how you tie I don't know, firewood around the pole and then just confine it there to dry. This is what these kids were subjected to. I don't know for how long, but according to the story, to the report that I read, it indicates that these kids were of a primary school called the Thiru Primary School in Laikipia West, that is in Kenya. And apparently this issue went viral after there was a very serious uproar on the internet. A lot of people expressed very emotional sentiments on the internet, and of course the government swung in and the reactionary, normal, impulsive, actionary way. Impulsive, I don't know how to put it. Actionary is even a word that I would say. The government sent some officials to come and make investigations of how this thing could have happened, and we are yet to find out exactly what the investigations could have dug up. But I feel like there's nothing to investigate because everything is in plain sight. Get the teachers, take them to jail, put them off the job, because basically they are mistreating the kids. Now, such incidences are very common in Kenya. Very, very common in Kenya. And let me share with you some instances of the same kind. In 2019, there was also another story of the same kind, that only that this one led to death. So allegedly, the kid that was beaten died shortly after the beating was meted on this kid. And it was a mathematics teacher that beat this kid. I don't know for what, because the reason was not put there. But the kid was beaten, after which the kid died. But what's funny is that the beater remained at large, and when they were approached by the parents to talk about the issue, apparently the teacher was very arrogant about it. Another incident of still in Kenya, because of a P7 girl that was beaten and later died. It's very common. These things, I don't know why it's happening mostly in Kenya. Maybe it's because apparently last year the Minister of Education came out and said, let's reintroduce corporal punishments into schools so that we can weed out unscrupulous characters in students, which his point was a lot of students were consuming drugs. At the same time, actually, he said that we are going to introduce corporal punishment and blood tests so that students that act unruly and are suspected of being of drug abuse, being the driver to being unruly, are subjected to this blood test, and after which, if you're found guilty and you have some blood content in your blood, some drug content in your blood, you're actually taken to police, incarcerated, and put into correction system, which I don't know whether that is correctly. I don't know, but I want to think that the reason as to why most kids get unruly in schools, because these kids that get unruly and mostly not the primary school level kind of kids, they're not, but mostly secondary school. I believe this is a build-up of character that is precipitated by certain terrible behavior, terrible punishments that are subjected to them. Because research has it that corporal punishments actually introduce a lot of resentment in children. These kids become so dangerous and very immune to punishments because they know, after all, when I do this, is what's coming my way. It's a corporal punishment which they literally have to prepare for. Grow a hard skin and go through it, and then you'll be done. On to the next one. So, I don't know whether you guys remember that incident, the Tanzanian incident, whereby 5 teachers were actually beating a student. That story was reported by BBC. They were beating a student, and in the video they were telling him to lie down, and the student was not actually, the student was not, responding to the instructions. So they actually ganged up upon him and beat him like a chicken thief. All for what? The kid had missed doing a test. And by the way, for the other child that was killed, that was beaten, the P7 child that was beaten, apparently she was beaten for not having a textbook. You can imagine. Well, we cannot really confirm that the beating could have caused the death, but when there's certain factors that can contribute to death. That's why it's important that you establish when a kid, because I'm very sure kids are in position to tell that, sir, I'm sick, sir, I'm like this and like that. But most of the times people don't want to listen. Teachers don't want to listen to these things, man, because I've been there. You go home, mostly it's these science teachers, the mathematics teachers, the chemistry teachers. You go home, you fall sick, and then you come back maybe the next day, then you tell the guy, I'm sick, man. Literally, not telling him, what, I don't need to be subjected to any physical beating because I need to get better before you give me your beating. At least let me get better and then beat me later. But these guys don't want to listen. Yeah. Actually, I remember a time. I remember and I'll share this story with you guys. Some of that I'll share with you guys ahead. I'll share with you later. So these guys really make it hard for some kids to study. I remember a time where I literally could not go to school because I was afraid of this mathematics teacher. I will not mention his name, but he was a very tough guy. Was a very feared guy in school. And at the time, there is no way you could speak up or do anything because the fear these guys, just put in you alone is just enough to scare the shit out of you. So of course some kids will not be like some of us. These kids will wait and give you payback. There is always payback. For these kids that end up fighting teachers, I feel like if the beatings teachers made on these kids was slavery, the fights kids give back to them, the beatings that they get from these students are more like payback. Like, we have our freedom now, you confined us to chains. Now it's about time for us to show you what we get. So in Kenya still, this is what happened. You see, when I was studying primary school, these teachers used to have over the week there used to be allocations of today this is the teacher is going to be on duty, and then that entire week, I believe you guys can relate, for an entire week the guy is on duty, and there used to be these tough guys. Remember, there was a teacher, man, when the guy is on duty, your shoes have to be polished, you have to tuck in throughout the whole day, your tie does not have to hang however hot it is. You have to sweep your class in the morning, break time, lunch, and when you're leaving. When the guy is about to come to class, make sure the class is very neat. You have to enter class, because we always used to go for lunch break at about 1 and then end at 2 p.m. But you have to enter class by about by 1:45 you have to be in class. Beyond that, you don't enter class. So there used to be such teachers. So what happens in Kenya is, let me find out the name of the school. The name of the school was what is the name of this school in Kenya? Hold on. So the name of the school is called Oldonyiro Senior Secondary School in Isiolo, northern part of Kenya. So what happened is that a teacher called Pius Mugambi was on duty. I think for that week he was the one running the system, and I have a feeling was one of those tough teachers. So he's on duty doing a thing, and then during lunchtime he goes to the DH. to the dining hall. I don't know why. When kids are having lunchtime, I imagine that teachers are supposed to be having lunchtime. I mean, having a lunch break. I don't know. So he goes to the dining hall and finds a group of young men circled around a sufuria, which is more like a big saucepan, eating food. So he tells them, stop eating from the saucepans, please. Get plates and eat on the plates. You're men. These kids go tell him, these kids reply and tell him, you know what, bro? We have just been recently circumcised, and that means we've been initiated into manhood, meaning you can't dictate how we want to do our things and what we want to do. So they begin making noise. Whoa, 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 which attracts teachers. When this noise attracts other teachers, the kids flee. They don't inflict any harm on him, but they take him for keeps. So I think the teacher detects a bit of a threat here, and then he decides to take the matter to police. So as he walks to police, these kids waylay him on the way and beat him to pulp. They beat him to pulp only to be served by the policeman. That was, I think, at a nearby police station. He could have, made an alarm and someone came to his rescue. After that, the teacher just asked that he be transferred away from that school because these kids are going to kill him. According to I'm sorry I'm laughing, but this is not a laughing matter, but according to the teachers, they believe that the reason as to why such incidences are happening is because these kids are actually have been newly initiated into manhood, and they feel like being a man is exciting. That's another incident. Yeah. So this time, the BT has become the beta. I believe this thing is beyond just a circumcision thing. Trust me. So another incident that I would love to share with you guys is of a Form 3 student that was arrested for beating up 3 teachers, still in Kenya. For what? These teachers tried to take the boy's phone. Growing up, me too, at school, high school, I came up from, I studied in a school whereby we were not allowed to carry phones, we were not allowed to carry clothes that were not uniform. If they were found, they were confiscated, but you would never know where they were taken. But for the phones, we would know where they would go. So let me give you a story. There used to be a policy in school, that despite the fact that these guys used to, you restrict us from carrying the phones, but what would happen was we would find ways of sneaking these phones into the school for use. Because at the time, I remember we used to use some small phones. Smartphones were very, very expensive, so we mostly used to use these flapper phones, the button phones. So what we do, we either create a big hole into a mattress and stuff the phone into the mattress, or and then just easily smuggle it in. Or better still, we used to have peanut butter. You get peanut butter, get that phone, put it in a polythene bag, and push it into the peanut butter. So the teacher comes, because there was policy that before you enter school, before you're allowed to go to your dormitory or hall, your property is checked to see if you've not brought any illegal material into the school. You get? So what would happen was, that's how we used to sneak in these things, regardless. But of course, teachers used to know that we used to sneak in these things, so they would find a day whereby we don't expect any such to happen out. Anything of that sort to happen. So what they would do was, most of this happen around lunch, after lunch, when you've had your lunch, you're just in a relaxing mode, you're dozing, you're not expecting anything, and then they'll just call you guys and tell you guys, come, go to your dormitories, do not enter, and bring out all your suitcases or boxes, metallic boxes. So these guys would sweep, they would comb through your boxes and take anything illegal, anything they thought was illegal. If they found nice shoes, nice canvas shoes, they would take them. If they found nice clothes, they would take them. But mostly they were interested in phones. These guys take our phones, man. Way back there was Motorola. Motorola was a very fancy phone at the time. You have your Motorola flapper. It has a camera. It has a back and front camera. And you're the G in school, man. You know what I mean? So this nigga comes and takes your thing. So what happened one time? There's this teacher. I don't quite forget. I think it was called Molavi. He took some student's phone. He messed with a wrong kid. And what happened was when he took the phone, he started using it because policy was, if you've taken a student's property, give it to them at the end of the term when they're going back home. So what this guy did, he took the phone, started using it, and unfortunately this kid saw him with the phone. Do you know what the kid did? The kid went and burnt down his house. The kid burned down his house and escaped out of school. After escaping out of school, the kid came back to confirm whether he was dead or not. But fortunately, there was no one in the house. He survived. So what am I telling you guys? There are always better ways to deal with things. You don't need to use force on students. I don't know why our teachers continue doing this. The reason as to why kids like this one that beat up the 3 teachers act like this is because certain way systems of punishing kids and inflicting pain on them, I think, has hardened them. It has made them so hard that they don't even care about how you do anything to them. The kid fought 3 teachers. They couldn't even deal with him. If there are other means, that kid, I believe, is used to the violent ways of doing things that teachers could have, gotten them used to. It's something that I don't feel is right. There are always better ways of doing correction. Do I feel like is punishment necessary for kids to get upright? Yes. Can we do better? Yes, we can do better. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. I don't know whether teachers know it, but what you do to these kids when they're at school actually impacts their entire lives. These kids have emotions. These kids, basically, when you look at the emotional bit of it, it's the most important thing that teachers have to put in consideration when they're dealing with children. I remember in school, primary, I was not really good with numbers. And we had this teacher, very tough guy. This is a guy that would punish you well, but sometimes I would chance to get. I think the best mark I got in my primary 7 in mathematics was, I think, 75. I got 75. That's the best mark I ever got. So one time I chanced 75, and then I dropped from 75, I think, to 60. Whoa! The guy came to class and called my name. Then called some other friend of mine called Isaac Kayemba. Isaac Kayemba was the most prolific mathematician in my class. So he asks me, why did you drop from 75 to 60? I had no answer. Because we don't go to do these papers and tell ourselves, knowing that, at this time I'm getting a 60. You just want to put your best and, wish for the best to come out, man. I often had no answers. So the guy would tell you lie down. And the position would tell you to lie down. There are actually 2 positions most of the times. And for me, they used to freak me out. He used to tell you, stand upright. You stand upright, and then he will tell you touch your toes, and then you bend over. You know that position. It's the most humiliating position that anyone can ever face, because first of all, anything can happen to you. You can do anything. The body can decide to do anything, because at that point, every part of your body is in fear. I think it is in fear, and now that behind part is just open. It's just open, Imagine you're bending over and you're anticipating a cane to land on your buttocks anytime. 2 things can happen. You can either fart, unconsciously, or you can even poop unconsciously, And for me to avoid all that, I could not take it Whenever I could lift his hand, sort of like bring the cane on my butt, I would just stand. You know, I'll just stand. And the funny thing is that when you sort of like show fear and you resent to get the cane, he will tell you again that go, I'll not beat you. Then when he tells you I'll not beat you, there's always a guy that is willing to be beaten and thank the guy for beating him. That friend of mine called Isaac. What the guy used to do was, after being beaten, he would shake the guy's hand. Maybe because he had gotten 90 or 95, and last time he got maybe 98, and this time he's gotten 95. He'll shake the guy's and thank you, sir, for beating me. Thank you, sir. Next time I'll do better. And it will make you feel guilty for not accepting to be beaten. You know what happens next? You begin pleading for the teacher to beat you. Can you imagine that? Sir, please beat me. Oh God, I just feel like, man. And then he had another position that he used to hit you at. He would tell you lie down, and then he would tell you lie down. After lying down, then he will stand in between your body, that cuts from the waist to the bottom, and then he will tell you, he will hit your bum. He will hit the cane in between your buttocks. Hit the cane in between your buttocks. When someone hits a cane in between your buttocks, you don't know how to scratch it. And most of the guy will tell you, don't scratch it. Don't touch there. You will hit in between your bums. After hitting in between your bums, you will get totally messed. Because even if you try to scratch, you're more like scratching your asshole in front of your colleagues. Imagine you have a smoker, like a girlfriend there, you have a girl looking up to. It's all a messy, environment altogether. I believe teachers can do better. And these guys find you, you've made it in life, you're somewhere, you're somebody, and then they'll tell you, what? The chiboko I gave you, those canes I gave you are the reason you've become who you are today. But I'm saying, no, fuck that shit. That's not true. Determination, hard work, and God is what gets you somewhere. Because I believe if chiboko was the measurement of success, or was the main driver of people becoming successful, everyone that has been beaten by Chiboko squad, Chisagirinya would be the most successful. He has become successful by that, but I believe it's just his determination and the drive to get there. I believe the guys that have been beaten by Chiboko squad will be the most successful people in this world. But most of them have been wounded, most of them have been crippled, most of them have had permanent scars put on their bodies. And you can't tell me shit. You cannot tell me shit. So what am I saying? Going forward, I believe teachers should find a way of, meting punishments on kids. You don't have to be tough for you to send a message to these kids. You don't have to beat them. You don't have to tie them on trees. And you don't want to provoke them to fight. Because these kids will fight you. The generation that we are living in right now, but this time they're in lockdown. You don't know what these kids are doing at home. They've been sent home. Most of them are idle. Some of them are eating. Some of them are going to the gym. Some of them are taking lessons for martial arts. You don't know, anything can happen at this point, and you don't want to be the victim of this thing. That is the other side. The other side is also that there are kids actually that are happy that they're actually at home. They are actually at home. That they don't have to be beaten. They actually receive these lessons online. And there are people that are also watching what teachers are doing. And because there are people that are watching what teachers are doing, people are becoming more innovative with education. They're creating means to study remotely. And when these means to study remotely are implemented, most of the teachers are going to become jobless unless you guys up your game. So instead of our teachers concentrating on being the tough guy, the guy that can beat, the guy that kids can see and just start running, you should start thinking ahead. How do you become competitive in this world of digital technology, where learning is becoming more remote? We are learning materials all over the internet. How do you be the best? How do you stand out there? How do you stand out and stay afloat? Because when the lockdown came, a lot of teachers went back to the villages. Most of you went into bricklaying. Some of you went into petty businesses like making small snacks on the streets, which is not a bad thing. I mean, a man has got to survive and provide for their families. But what are you doing beyond that? What are you doing beyond that to make yourself a better person? Take away from this, I think I've spoken a lot. We teachers need to find better ways of dealing with people. The kids. Beating is not the only way you can get your message hard to the kids. These kids needs to be nurtured. They need to be nurtured, not beaten, not hardened, but they need to be nurtured as smart, intelligent people that have the ability to intuitively look at things from the wrong and the good side. That's all I've got to say. I was just whiling out with my thoughts. I don't know what you guys can think, or what do you guys think about what I've said. You share in the comment section and tell me what you think. Show some love. Peace.